Hi, this video is for my communications concept class that I will be teaching in the fall at Summit Christian College, and it's on a lesson of the art of listening. And to do this lesson, I would use instructional strategies like constructivism because I want to build on what the students already know. I would use inquiry-based learning, I would use active learning, and I would use discussion. The first thing I would do is probably role play something silly about me not listening as I was walking in and a student was like saying, "Hey, Mrs. Lacy, Mrs. Lacy." And after that, I would introduce the idea of listening and how we all just hear sometimes and don't actually listen. And I would play a little game that I call thumbs up, thumbs down in order to connect what they already know to what they're going to learn in this class. And I have a few samples of that on this slideshow. So I would say things like thumbs up or thumbs down. Listening is a communication skill. If you agree, put your thumb up. If you don't agree, put your thumb down. And then I could correct any misunderstandings right there. It's a really great formative learning way, and it goes formative learning tool, and it's very quick. Listening is a communication skill. Thumbs up, thumbs down. We spend most of our day listening rather than speaking. Thumbs up, thumbs down. And hearing and listening are the same thing. I have 20 of these, but in the interest of time, I've just put 3 on this video so that we can so that I can keep it within the time frame. Anyway, that would be the first strategy I would use. And then after that, I would go into the inquiry-based method where I would group the students into groups of 3 or 4, have them open their books to chapter 5, which is the listening chapter, and then dig through that chapter and classify things according to, is that listening, is that hearing, or is that both? And that way they can kind of start doing some research and start thinking on their own about the difference between listening and hearing. At the end of that, I would ask them to share their top 3 like wow moments, or hey, that's pretty cool, I didn't think of that before. As a group, what are the top 3 things they'd like to share with the rest of the class? And also that gets them up communicating, since this is a communications class and they are to be practicing speaking orally to a group. After that, I would ask that they also include some of these Bible verses or look them up and include those in their Venn diagrams according to what does God say about listening and hearing. And that also meets the objectives of looking at things through a Christian worldview for this class. So that I think will work well. After all of that, we would go into more of the discussion instructional strategies where the kids would be grouped and they would have 3 minutes to write their thoughts on a certain topic. Any of these topics, doesn't necessarily have to be these, but any of these type of topics. And they can write 3 or 4 sentences down and whatever they want to come up with in 3 minutes. And then they're going to share their thoughts with their classmates. I would be sure that their classmates know that this is an opinion-based discussion, that there's no right or wrong answers. We don't want any conflict, and that everybody has a valid opinion because it's their opinion and that's valid. So students would be asked to practice the art of listening at this point, using good body language and maybe jotting down bullet point notes. And then at the end of each person's turn in that group, I would ask that the students ask different questions, clarifying questions, or restate things like "I heard you say," and that would give them some practice in the listening strategies that we were talking about during this chapter, during this lesson. And then if, as a way of differentiation, if students did not want to be in a group, I would allow them to listen with headphones or go into a different room and listen to a podcast or a YouTube video on one of these topics that I'm sharing. And then they would be required to write down bullet points and questions and then video themselves and send that link to me as a way of a formative assessment, so that I know that they've done that and that they have also practiced good listening skills as they're listening to a podcast. And then lastly, I would wrap the class up by just tying it all together, asking them to leave their Venn diagrams as a way of, so that I can see what they've written down. And then I would say, remember that ears hear, but our brains listen, and kind of wrap the class up like that. And that's it. That's what I would do as far as instructional strategies for the art of listening lesson. Thank you.